All right. James Lindsay, based academic, had actually a really great observation. And this is something that I think the Young Turks, definitely this would apply to Vaush. This would definitely apply. I don't think this applies to Destiny as much. But you could definitely detect it with Hassan. Like, oh my God, with Hassan, it just reeks. It's even more sad because it becomes so obvious. What do these people all have in common? They're narcissists. This is also something you find a lot in a lot of thespians, like a very, very large number of people who think that stage acting is really cool or something, or they're raised in that. They're really just intensely narcissistic people. This is also something that I think we're really seeing with a lot of this concept of trans youth, SJWs, and especially gender activists. This is something quite specifically I picked up on with gender activists and people who are gender Americans and sexual Americans and stuff. And that they're desperate need for people to be intensely interested in their really probably non-existent sex life for the most part. Most gender people are, the women are just not good looking. And more increasingly the males are, diminutive would be one of the terms that comes up a lot. I think of mutated. That's also one of the other kinds of, they're just kind of weird and mutant looking. But especially like tranny dudes, like this kind of thing where guys just dress up poorly as chicks and then they call themselves women. It's like this is intense narcissism, intensely narcissistic people. And so when you're around a lot of liberals, you start to see how this is something that, because youth, being a narcissist and being young, they go well together. As life goes on, you're old and ugly and people don't care. So narcissists who are old tend to have to fall into drug use or a weird scene or kind of a cultish thing. You see this a lot if you were around boomer shit libs. The idea that they would get into some new cult every few years of sorts, like the yoga cult or a Tai Chi cult, or you start practicing Zen meditation or whatever it is. But that when you're there, when you're around it, you realize like this is like a group of people who this is like what they do. Every few years they find their new thing to kind of give them a reason to exist, or something like. Basically, it's that kind of thing of like you need a hobby like weightlifting, like you need a hobby that's good for you. So then it's this thing of, oh, you lift weights because you're a narcissist. This is where the social justice warriors got this from the start. This is where body acceptance came from, where it was saying, oh, guys who lift weights, they're narcissistic and they have all these toxic ideas. And no, these people are talking about themselves. That's one of the things about these extremely narcissistic shit libs, is really they're talking about their own deeply fucked up personalities. So it's not that they live in a world that oppresses them, where all the genital Americans are, being horribly treated. No. They know that if they had the opportunity, they would be cliquish, deceitful, spiteful, work toward weird personal goals of sabotaging people and stuff. And so I think James Lindsay really nailed it with this, the leftist narcissist, and how that is so common. And because it's, because that which is, to be liberal is to be childish and effeminate. And so, that's also a part of it. This applies very much to the part of liberals that's fundamentally and kind of not properly matured personality, not dealing with the fact that reality doesn't care Math doesn't care. Physics doesn't care. Biology doesn't care that you want to pretend things about genitalia and, none of it. Reality doesn't care. So people like this have this, end up really having to have forever problems with reality itself. So they have to then live in kind of a pretend world that there's something wrong with reality, not them. And if only all these people would see how really what you need to do is to understand that, if you just lived according to their ideals, that things would be fine. Their idealism or something, their ideal world, their, whatever. So it was just something I was thinking about because it really hit. And I think this also, you see this so much with millennials and Zoomers because of how their parents treated every whim and whimsy of theirs as if, and also that a lot of late boomer and Gen X parents are nut jobs. Like a lot of them are nuts, and they raise their kids to be narcissistic nut jobs. And so, and that, yeah, that's just basically where my head's at about it. I'm just like, yeah, that, I think Lindsay really dialed this one in. Yeah. So, all right. Well, just kissing the cross. You gotta, kiss the cross. Kiss the cross. All right. Later on, y'all.